Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today we're looking at something pretty bold.
Yeah, really bold.
It's this claim from one specific document that basically the whole destiny of humanity pivoted on a single day.
May 1st, 1974. Not just, another date on the calendar.
No, it's presented as this cosmic crossing point.
Right. The moment when this age-old battle between God and Satan fundamentally flipped. It asks you to rethink history itself.
Totally. I mean,
Well-
if that's actually what happened, every history book needs a rewrite. So the source we're digging into today comes from excerpts of a talk by Sun Myung Moon, given May 19, 1974, Tarrytown, New York. It's called The Day of Victory Over Resentment.
And this came right after a huge tour, right? Like 50 states?
Yeah, almost nonstop. He was really hammering home that 72, 73, 74 were absolutely crucial years for global spiritual restoration.
Yeah. Okay, so to really get why May 1st is supposed to be such a big deal, we need to back up. We need to understand the basic problem described in the text, the cosmology.
What needed fixing in the first place?
Exactly.
And the core idea is, well, it's that the whole world system, everything, was built centering on Satan, completely opposite to God's plan.
Right. The source paints this picture of a fallen world where Satan basically took charge at every level. Individual, family, tribe, nation, the whole world.
And the really provocative part is the idea that in this fallen setup, Satan is somehow above God.
Yeah, like God's pushed to the margins in his own creation. That's the implication.
So the fall wasn't just some, political misstep. It damaged people internally.
Oh, absolutely. It describes the individual as being fundamentally split. Your spiritual side and your physical side are constantly at war with each other, just internal conflict. So restoration has to start right there, inside the person. Creating a perfected man, someone internally unified.
And without that unified person, you can't build the ideal family or tribe or nation. It all starts with that core.
Precisely.
Okay, so how do you fix this? How do you get from this state of satanic control back to God's original plan? It's not just saying sorry, is it?
No, not according to this. It requires a whole systematic correction. The term used is indemnity.
Indemnity. Okay, what does that mean in this context?
They give it like spiritual debt repayment, or maybe a condition. It's the cost that has to be paid, the action that has to be taken to reverse the mistakes of the past.
Right.
So if the fall happened in a certain sequence, like step A, then B, then C, restoration has to go backwards. Fix C, pay the price. Fix B, pay the price. Fix A, reversing the whole process.
Wow, okay. That sounds like it needs someone pretty special to lead it, a central figure.
Exactly. And that's where the Messiah figure comes in. This person has to be that man of perfection, someone who's actually achieved that internal harmony, spirit and body united. Something, the text implies, no one else had fully done.
And this person is called the core, and maybe the most loaded term, the new human ancestor.
That's key. The idea is if you can connect to this one perfected person, you can inherit that perfection. It ripples outwards then, restores the family, the tribe, eventually the world. But you need to break from the old fallen ancestry.
And there's an analogy used for that, right? The olive tree.
Yes, it's quite
True.
vivid. The central figure is the true olive tree. Everyone else, the entire human race, descended from the fall. They're wild olives.
Including religious people? Christians?
Yes, Christianity specifically is seen as the group of wild olives who are, let's say, prepared, willing to be cut off from their wild state and engrafted onto the true tree.
But there's a
It's a
condition.
huge one. The text is emphatic. Utter obedience to this new ancestor, this true olive tree. That's the price of engrafting.
Okay, and this is where things get, well, really challenging for traditional views. The source talks about Jesus' mission having limitations.
It claims Jesus didn't fully succeed.
That's the core argument, yes. The source says Jesus fulfilled the spiritual side, definitely, but failed to establish a perfect physical family, meaning a husband and wife totally united, centering on God.
Okay.
And also, because of the crucifixion, he lost the nation, the Israelites, who were supposed to be the physical base for God's kingdom on earth.
So wait, the crucifixion, usually seen as the ultimate victory. This text frames it as a failure in terms of the physical kingdom.
Essentially, yes. A failure to establish God's kingdom physically on earth at that time. The source says salvation doesn't come from the cross itself. It says salvation only came later, through the resurrected Jesus gathering the scattered followers. So by the time of the cross, the physical foundation was, quote, denied and lost.
Wow. So the restoration Christianity offers is only spiritual, according to this view.
That's exactly it. It only repairs things on the spiritual level.
which leaves the physical world,
Yeah.
Earth, governments, actual families, still under Satan's claim, unrestored.
That's the critical implication. And because Jesus only finished the spiritual part?
The Lord of the Second Advent has to come back as a person, in the flesh,
Right, to finish the job, to unite the world on both levels, spiritual and physical.
because the physical part is still outstanding.
Okay, but then you have the question, why do most Christians expect a return on the clouds, something mystical?
The source tackles that head on. It introduces this idea of the divine code.
Divine code.
Yeah. The argument is, because the world was under Satan's control, Satan sort of owned the airwaves back then, metaphorically speaking, God couldn't just spell things out plainly.
Okay.
So he had to communicate crucial truths using coded messages, parables, and symbols. These were delivered through righteous people, prophets, and apostles.
Who were acting like God's secret agents, passing encrypted messages.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. And the mistake the Christian world makes today, according to this source, is reading those coded messages literally.
So they miss the point about the need for a physical return.
Exactly. They misunderstand the full scope. The second advent has to first deal with the spiritual level, restore the angelic world, inherit Jesus' spiritual foundation. Then he can move on to restore the physical world, Adam's world, the part Jesus couldn't finish.
Which brings us right back to that date, May 1st, 1974, the supposed start of this final physical phase.
Right. Declared the day of victory over resentment. The speaker's essentially saying, I've already won the spiritual battle, inherited Jesus' foundation. May 1st is the public marker. The tide has officially turned. Physical restoration can now begin in earnest. The backlog of resentment is cleared.
And they put a really tight deadline on it, didn't they? Especially for the U.S.
Incredibly tight. The stakes were presented as immense in '74. The claim was, if the Christian world unites behind the Lord of the Second Advent now, global restoration, the actual kingdom of heaven on earth, could happen in just 7 years.
7 years, that's ambitious.
Extremely. And the U.S. had a specific window, 75, 76, 77, 78. Those were the crucial years for America to respond positively.
But America, why was the U.S. singled out?
It was identified as the central nation of the Christian world. And because of its freedom of speech, religion, it was seen as uniquely positioned. It was the prepared ground, the ready wild olive trees needing engraftment.
But it's interesting, the dynamic back then. You had mainstream Christianity mostly resistant. But the source mentions getting support from government officials, White House, governors.
Yeah, that's a fascinating detail. The speaker talks about receiving these proclamations, this favor from parts of the U.S. establishment, even while religious groups were pushing back.
And how is that interpreted?
It was seen as the central figure setting a necessary condition, like laying a foundation so America wouldn't be doomed to fall because of its own internal problems, its spiritual decay. It was a kind of cosmic race against time, and that government support was viewed as vital groundwork.
So the claim is the central figure had already secured the internal base, the spiritual victory in the U.S. The mission for American followers then, in those critical years,
Was to build the external base,
yeah,
the physical foundation. They had to mobilize publicly, unite with him, and restore the physical world by 1978.
and if they failed?
The warning was stark. If the American members didn't achieve this external restoration in time, the whole divine plan, its center, would have to shift, move to another nation, maybe England, maybe Germany. America would lose its central role.
Okay, let's talk about the shift that May 1st date supposedly brought, this new formula of victory. Historically, the source says the pattern was Abel, the godly side, gets sacrificed by Cain, the satanic side.
Right, that was the old pattern of history. But the declaration on May 1st reversed it. From now on, the source dictates. Abel's side, the godly side, has the authority. Abel can attack Cain's position.
Attack Cain.
Yes. And if sacrifice is needed, it's Cain's side, the fallen world, that will pay the price. This is supposedly the moment Satan is doomed to decline. Followers are promised victory, ascendancy.
That's a huge shift, but it comes with equally huge demands, right? This absolute faith and utter obedience.
Absolutely non-negotiable. Because the logic goes, Adam and Eve fell through disobedience and disbelief. So to restore true freedom, you need the opposite. Complete obedience to the new command. Even if it means denying what feels like freedom in the moment, denying the fleshly side.
Denying the self, enduring hardship to restore the spiritual side first.
Exactly.
And the source connects this directly to problems in America at the time.
Oh, very directly. With some strong warnings. It characterizes American society as going the way of animals. Things like illicit love, free sex, extreme individualism.
And these are seen as destroying families and the nation.
Directly linked. The breakdown of family leads to the breakdown of the nation. The only defense, this speaker argues, is for people to be willing to sacrifice their own individual desires for the bigger picture, for the whole, reversing that self-centered trend.
It's really high stakes for the followers then. Deny yourself completely, save the world. What's the promised reward for that level of obedience?
Well, it's pretty comprehensive. By being engrafted onto the central figure, they don't just inherit his victory, his spiritual and physical foundation.
There's more.
They're assured they can mobilize the entire spirit world, angels, their own ancestors, to help them in their work, the physical restoration efforts.
Mobilize the spirit world.
Yes, and maybe even more pointedly, their promise that this mobilized spirit world will actively punish those who persecute them or stand in their way. Victory is assured on all levels, spiritual and physical.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot. This whole framework restoration through indemnity, the spiritual and physical aspect, the controversial take on Jesus's mission, and this incredibly high-stakes role for the U.S. in the mid-70s.
Yeah, it presents history less like a random flow of events and more like, well, the speaker calls it divine mathematics, a precise formula playing out.
Right. So maybe the thought to leave you with today is this. If this source material is right, if God's plan really follows a rigid mathematical formula, and if the Lord of the Second Advent supposedly cannot fail this time because the spiritual part is already won, what does that really mean for free will? For the people who follow, sure, but also for those who oppose. If the outcome is locked in by a formula, how much does individual human choice truly matter in the face of that kind of destiny?
It certainly makes you think about the weight of obedience versus the possibility of a predetermined historical outcome.
Something to mull over. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
See you next time.